Thank you for tuning into New Jersey Revolution Radio for part 2 of our Community Cannabis Forum, taped at the Coffee House in Edison, New Jersey, 931 Amboy Avenue. This was sponsored by Help Not Handcuffs and Hub City Smokes at 84 Patterson Street in New Brunswick, New Jersey. We are featuring tonight the New Jersey Weedman, Ed Forchion, and his discussion with our host, Henry Hank Green. Thank you for tuning in to this Community Cannabis Forum. Learn more about our community forums or organize one of your own. Visit www.njrevolutionradio.com.
Our next guest is coming up. You know, many of you know him, if you've heard of him, Mr. Ed Forchion, a.k.a. New Jersey Weedman. Selling like a white man.
Oh, boy.
That's selling like a white man.
Hey.
I like saying that. I feel good when I say that.
Is everybody familiar with that, what I'm talking about?
Selling like a white man. This is Mr. Ed Forchion, a.k.a. the Weed Man, from Trenton, New Jersey. He's been fighting for social justice as far as with cannabis for many years, as he suffered at the hands of the state as a political prisoner based upon it. He has a story to tell that's very enlightening. And some people, you know, I respect folks like him who stand up and fight, and there's consequences with standing up and fighting for what you believe in and things like that. And everybody, one won't do it. And so you have to commend the people who do. And I commend you once again, you know what I mean, for standing up like you stand up, you know what I mean. I want you to just let everybody know who you are and what the Weed Man's all about.
All right, thank you. Sorry I'm a few minutes late, people. I don't know what happened. The sky opened in Trenton. It's like a tornado hit. It was wind and rain, and my feet were soaked, my underwear was soaked. I had to go back to my car, get clothes. I decided not to drive. I'm taking a train. I'll take an Uber. Anyway, here I am. Sorry. I had to change my underwear. I was squeaky.
It's all right, man.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
He's wet and ready.
Yeah. Wait a minute, what are we here for? Wet and ready? All right. Back to the weed topic. Okay. I don't know how much people know about me out there. I don't know. So real quick, I don't even know how it happened, but around 14, I started smoking marijuana. I didn't think much of it at the time. It was a once in a while thing with my friends, my cousins, things like that. And it wasn't until I was like 20 or so in college that I became actually a regular smoker. But I did know between the time I was 16 and about 20 that marijuana wasn't the boogeyman, that my parents, well, not so much my parents, but my preacher, my pastor told me, the teachers told us. We didn't have DARE in school, but we had like some health class, a health teacher that told us all about it, and marijuana was like the boogeyman drug. And I already knew I didn't believe it. All right, so fast forward a few years, I'm gonna skip all the stuff, how I got into smuggling and everything else and actually selling it. But at some point, I got busted. I got busted in 1997 with a package of marijuana coming from Arizona. It was actually a 200-pound package, and I got caught with a 40-pound package. And I got locked up. That weekend, I decided, nope, I'm fighting it. It was a Thursday, and I sat in jail over the weekend until Monday or Tuesday. I made bail. And while I was in jail, I said I was going to fight it. I said I'm going to invoke jury nullification and this, that, and the other. People thought I was crazy. But anyway, long story short, ever since then, I've been openly advocating for the legalization of marijuana. I don't even know if I should keep calling it marijuana. Should I call it marijuana or cannabis? Cannabis. I go back and forth with that.
Me too.
You know, I go back and forth. I know traditionally, historically, yes, that was the name of it. But when they made it illegal, they used the word marijuana because they were trying to paint the whole image of everything as brown, and those brown people, those Mexicans were using this marijuana. this Malta, this new drug, and that's how they made it illegal, kind of. So now they're making it legal now all across the country, and now it's like they're repainting everybody's face and repainting everything, and now it's cannabis, and it's like I was kind of like, well, wait a minute, like I went to prison for marijuana, like what? So anyway, I don't know where to go with that one, but I'll say marijuana or weed. I'm weed man. I'm not marijuana man. I'm not cannabis man. I'm weed man. So it's weed to me. All right, but I came out in 1997 just openly saying this should be legal. In 1997, I got charged with I was the first one charged under Christy Whitman's new Comprehensive Drug Reform Act that made large amounts of marijuana also first-degree crimes. Prior to 1997, you can get caught with 100 pounds or 1,000 pounds of marijuana, and it still would only be a third or fourth degree offense in New Jersey. But in 1997, in July of 1997, they revamped our criminal system, and the drug laws, they were increasing them. They were getting tough on drugs, tough on weed, and I got caught with 40 pounds of marijuana. The law at the time switched to anything over 25 pounds was a first-degree crime. So I can go to jail with rapists and murderers and killers, you know. They were usually relegated to the first-degree crime. So now all of a sudden, I was. And I was arrested in November, like 4 months after they did this, and then front page of the Courier Post, you know, it was me and my brother. So it was like me and my brother arrested for marijuana. First-degree crime. These two guys were the first ones arrested under this new law. I was like, oh, my goodness. They're going to make an example of me. And I was like, nope, not me. I'm fighting this. I'm going to fight it all the way. And even then, I thought people generally thought more than 25% of people believed that marijuana should be legal back then. I was looking at those statistics back then. And I was like, well, if I got 25% of the people on my jury to believe that it should be legal, maybe I can convince them to say not guilty and basically get a hung jury and maybe get a couple of them and not go to prison. And that was my thought process at the time when I started arguing for jury nullification. I was as openly, as loudly as I could.
Jury nullification, what is that?
Jury nullification. Does anybody here know what jury nullification is? Okay. Well, okay. It's actually something, we will go into this, it's actually a process the founding fathers of this country wanted. They wanted the jury to judge a law as well as the facts. That's why we have a jury system. So the government can come up with any law they want, charge you with anything they want, but a jury has to rubber stamp that with a conviction in order to send you to prison. Okay, there's a whole history to that. I happen to be a reader of history, and I read all about William Penn and the William Penn case in England in the 1670s. And his case really brought jury nullification to light back then, as Old English common law. When it came across to America, the colonists, when they were writing the Constitution, they put it in. It's basically the Sixth Amendment. Thomas Jefferson was very well aware of the William Penn case. I mean, they wrote it. They wrote the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, named after William Penn. And his claim to fame was he was a Quaker who was prosecuted for being a Quaker, practicing an illegal religion in England. And at the time, it was illegal. And he argued to the jury certain things, you know. He wanted to represent himself. He wanted to have witnesses. He wanted to speak on his Quaker religion. And long story short, after his trial, he was found not guilty by the jury. The king then punished the jury after a whole long process. They tried to starve him into changing their conviction and everything. I think it was called the Star Chambers. They had this whole big thing where they then decided that no, when a jury says not guilty, you're not guilty. A jury can be independent. Anyway, that whole episode with William Penn is, I want to say 1670. Right now, I can't think. I think it was 1670 was his trial. It followed William Penn across to America. The colonists were well aware of it. It became the backbone of His case became the backbone of the First Amendment in the United States, the Fourth Amendment about illegal search and seizures, I think, the Fifth Amendment, the right to not incriminate yourself, the Sixth Amendment right to assistance of counsel for trial, and the Seventh Amendment right for a fair trial. I think it even had something to do with the Eighth Amendment right to bail also. But anyway, he's probably the most influential person in our Constitution, and he was dead before our Constitution even existed. But so many things from William Penn are why we have certain things. And jury nullification is a thing that I picked up on as a kid. And I don't know, I always thought about it. And I used to think, you know what though? I remember thinking, you know, something horrible happened and I'm in trial. I would just get on my knees and cry to the jury, oh, please, 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 I'll never do it again. And if a juror said, yeah, he did it, but, you know, I'm not sending him to prison, bam, that would be jury nullification. We said not guilty. So me thinking this later, it grown and getting caught with weed, and I knew a lot of people, at least 25%, thought that marijuana should be legal. That basically, that's what I was going to argue to the jury. The law is wrong, not me. And, like, this whole plan really did come to me in the Camden County Jail between November 24th and November 28th when I got out on bail. And this is what I said, that I was going to proceed forward. I was going to be as loud as possible, this, that, and the other. And long story short, when I got to trial, one of my jurors started crying. She got removed. Another juror 2 days later, she started crying. She didn't get removed, but then the prosecutor came to me with a sweetheart deal. Because remember, I got charged with a first-degree crime, and that's 20 years. Another thing happened also. Not only did I get charged with that crime on November 24th, about 4 months later, trying to get enough money for a lawyer, I also got caught with 15 pounds. So I ended up with 2 cases. And right in the middle of the trial, because these 2 ladies on my jury started crying and saying they couldn't convict me, the prosecutors were like, wow, he's really going to get his jury nullification thing off. And they didn't want that to happen. So they offered me a sweetheart deal. So I went from facing the 20 years for the first-degree crime, the second-degree crime for the 15 pounds, that the prosecutor offered me ISP, which is a parole program. And even though I said I'd never take a deal, I went from facing like close to 30 years to facing like 6 months in jail in a program. So I had to take it, and I did take it. But that didn't mean I had to shut up about it. Again, I still felt like I shouldn't have been locked up for marijuana. I didn't think anybody should be locked up for marijuana. And I just kept on talking. So since 1997, I've been loudly talking about legalizing marijuana. Some people have heard that. Some people have seen the things I say in the newspaper or 101.5 or the different videos and stuff I made. But there's always 2 themes I always talk about: legalization and jury nullification. I could just easily call myself jury nullification man, by the way, because there's a lot of people who know me for that, you know. But so I've been on board for legalization for a long time. When Senator Scutari first came out, 2006, 2007, with his medical marijuana bill, I was totally down with it. When I read it, then I wasn't, because it turned into this big corporate thing. And I thought it was going to be like California, like anybody can open up a place and sell medical marijuana. So I was so frustrated and mad about it, I actually moved to California. And I stayed there until 2013. The DEA put me out of business. I went to California and opened up a medical marijuana dispensary, this, that, and the other. They put me out of business, and at the same time, I was going through, I have a bone condition. Every now and then I have tumors pop up on me, bone tumors, and 2013, like everything happened all at once. Like I got these tumors popped up on me. The DEA came, trying to put me out of business, and they were successful. And what do you do when things are going bad? You go home, right? You go back to mom. So I ended up back here in Jersey. And then I was watching Senator Scutari's bill again. And again, he went from medical marijuana, which was this whole corporate thing, which I was always was irritated about it. I didn't complain too much about it, but I didn't like it. Like, I could see how they were doing it in other states, and I didn't like how they were doing it in New Jersey. New Jersey is like this little monopoly of 6 guys that have the ATCs, It's a monopoly. They're overpriced, and their product is not even that good. Now, normally, in a free market system, if something's overpriced, the quality's not good, you go somewhere else and get it, right? And the free market system, supply and demand, good and bad, all that work out. But that's not how New Jersey did it. That's not how Scutari did it. And like I said, I was irritated about it. My irritation really didn't mean nothing. I was really screaming in the wind because most people thought it was a step in the right direction. Okay, so there was nothing I can do about it. But then about 3 years ago or so, he started the SB 2703 is what he started talking about legalization for recreational. And instead of, again, doing this free market system or open system where anybody can get in it, especially black marketeers who are already doing it, right? Because trust me, I'm a little vain when I call myself the New Jersey weed man. I'm claiming this entire state. But there's a weed man in every single community. I don't care. I never spent any time in Edison, but give me an hour, I can find somebody to sell me some weed here in Edison. You know? I don't care what town I go to. I can find weed, and I've done it. You know? I bragged one time I found weed in the whitest city in America, Salt Lake City. I used to be a coast-to-coast truck driver. I used to do it all the time. I would normally go halfway across the country. I'd stop somewhere for a day or two. I usually would look for like Martin Luther King Boulevard, and I'd find a bar or something, and I'd ask somebody, and the next thing I know, I'd have a bag of weed. There's no Martin Luther King Boulevard in Salt Lake City. I think I found Cesar Chavez Boulevard or something, and I found a bar, and I went in the bar, had a beer or two with someone, and asked for who's got some Malta? It was a bunch of Spanish guys. I was like, Malta. Anybody got some Malta here? And I ended up with some weed. But anyway, weed is everywhere. So me claiming myself as the New Jersey weed man is a little vain because there's a weed man everywhere. And that's what kind of pissed me off about Senator Scutari's bill, because there's an existing black market in New Jersey. It's been going on for decades. I mean, there's some communities that have the same weed men, and the same weed men been there for years, and nobody tells on that person. In my town, where I grew up, there was a lady named Miss Brown, and she sold weed from the time I was a teenager to well into my 30s. I do remember at some point she got busted in the late 90s, but the next week she was selling weed again. You know, and she's always been selling weed. I think this lady is 70-something years old now. And so every time I drive near her house, I always think, well, I should go knock on her door and see if she remembers me. You know, see what she's got, you know? But it's like that everywhere. So Senator Scutari's bill, it really, really irritated me. How many people, I mean, I know people want legalization, but how many people read Senator Scutari's bill and wanted it to pass? By show of hands. Nobody? Usually, half and half. Yeah, all right. Well, I didn't want it to pass for several reasons, because I didn't think it went far enough. I didn't think it fixed anything, and it excluded so many people. I can get directly into the race issue, or I can just talk about just the black market itself. There's an existing market here. People went to prison, whether they're black or white or whatever, had their lives ruined and all that, and we're excluded. And because we're felons, we court charges, this, that, and the other. And his bill gives an advantage to the people who come from other states that legalized it first. So they legalized it first. Like California didn't really legalize until recently, but you know their medical program was practically legalization anyway. People from Washington State, Colorado, they've been making millions for a couple years now. And now New Jersey's opening up, and bam, here they go. I call them the cannabaggers. The cannabaggers are showing up, and they are bribing our politicians. They call it lobbying. I call it bribing. Is there a difference, though?
No.
No. If you give a whole bunch of money to a politician for his campaign or for his this or his that, and you call it lobbying. Whereas there's laws that say you cannot give somebody something for something, especially if you're a state official or a government official, and that's called bribery. I don't see the difference, and I never saw the difference, and that's what's happening. The guys who's made millions of dollars, these corporations, these places coming from Colorado and Washington State and whatever, they came and they gave money, and I pick on Senator Scutari, but he's not the only one. They came and they bribed them. They lied. They paid them to write the bill and write the law for these corporate guys. So the black market, people like me, people like, I don't know if there's any other weed men in here, but but people, people like the normal guy. Like, I'm sure there's somebody around here who sells weed would love to be able to say, hey, it's legal now and sell weed. Whether you just trading with your neighbor, maybe you know a guy around the corner who's growing 10, 15 plants in his basement, and you want to buy some of his product once in a while. Or you got 10 or 15 plants, but you only grew sour diesel, for instance. But you know that guy over there, he's growing some OG. Mm-hmm. Let's trade. You know what I mean? Like, even that's illegal under this system that Senator Scutari was putting together. So I went from being legalization man to being accused of being anti, because I was against Senator Scutari. I was openly against Senator Scutari's bill. But it didn't mean I was against legalization, because, man, I don't want to get arrested no more. I don't want anybody else to get arrested. I've been arrested a couple times. I've been arrested for talking about it. So let alone, just possessing it.
Right.
So I'm down 100% for legalization, probably 110% for legalization. I think I've took it on the chin a couple times for speaking about legalization. So I'm down with it, but I definitely was opposed to Senator Scutari's SB 2703 because to me it was nothing but a big corporate sell-off, and I don't know. So I made my opinions known on that, right? And in doing that, I pissed off politicians, and pissing off politicians sometimes gets interpreted in, then they tell their buddies in the police department to take care of you, and that's what happened to me a year ago. If anybody doesn't know, I got locked up, I got arrested on a weed charge, no problem. I'll take it to trial. I didn't have a problem with that. But then I got hit with this whole witness tampering charge. I got held in jail for 400. I became public enemy number one to the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office. And but it was really because of my legalization talk. That case, I beat the case. Actually, I got Mayweather numbers in Mercer County. 38 charges over a year and a half period, and I got 38 no. They got not one single conviction from me. Every single charge dismissed. I actually taunt them now. I sent the email to Stephanie Katz, the prosecutor, today. Asked her if she wants a three-peat because I beat her twice in trial.
So how
in fact, I sent her your article. I sent her. Yes, listen. I have an email list. Sometimes it's my shithead list. It consists of prosecutors and public officials. So today I sent that to all 300 and something people on the shithead list. Yes. But I also sent it to a bunch of press. And Dennis Malloy from 101.5 actually said he's going to put it on the 101.5's website this week. So you're going to see that this week. But I don't know where to go with it. The last I heard, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, the last I heard, they've pretty much given up on 2703. Now they want to make a ballot question for people to vote for, which makes me wonder, what's the question going to be?
Right.
And who's going to write the question? And, will the cannabaggers now influence the question?
Oh, yes.
Will Senator Scutari just write the question? And trust me, I became a victim of that last major statewide question, the Bail Reform Act. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I think this legalization, to me, it should have certain things in the question. One, free all pot prisoners first. And that's not just the guys that are in prison. I mean, imagine this. I told you, 1997, I got hit with a first-degree weed charge. There were guys that got hit with first-degree weed charges as late as 2010, 2011. And guess what that charge is? 20 years. So there are guys in prison right now. I know an Asian guy right now who got busted in 2013, I think in Tom's River or something like that. He had 3 houses he was growing weed in, and he got a first-degree charge. And I know he got 23 years. I remember he got 23. I don't know if he's still in there. A lot of times 23 years really means 8. So, but I know he got 23 years. So I don't know if he's still there. But even if he's not actually in prison, He's still on probation, still on parole, and I know there's a whole lot of guys like that. Man, there's a guy in Passaic not too long ago, got 19 years. I'm talking like last September. He got 19 years, so he's in prison right now. And there's a lot of people like that. And so, and even if you're, and when I say free all the pot prisoners, not only the guys that are actually behind bars, behind the walls, but the guys who are still on paper, whether it's parole or probation, they should be freed first. So that would be the first part of my question. If you were to ask me, anyone over 21, and sometimes I even say 18, but that's one of those questions. To me, 18, 14. I mean, but to me, to me, 18. Okay, it should be that anyone over 18 should be allowed to possess, grow, sell, barter, whatever marijuana. There should be no attachments any more than it is for tomatoes. I think it should be some type of job protection in the bill. I think it should be an expungement. And I know there's a lot of talk about expungements, but those expungements would not cover, it wouldn't cover the 2 times I was busted. Both times I was busted for 15 pounds and for 40 pounds. They're talking expungements of 5 pounds.
Right.
So it wouldn't get me. It wouldn't get like that guy I was just talking about. I wish I knew his name, Tam Lee or whatever his name was in Toms River with the grow houses. It wouldn't cover him. It wouldn't cover a lot of people I know. I know a guy too who he never actually got caught with marijuana, but he facilitated it and he got conspiracy charges. He got several conspiracy charges. And he never even actually had it. He didn't get busted with any marijuana, but the expungement wouldn't protect him either. And he's a guy who's done his time. He's done well, probably with that weed money he's still got. Mm-hmm. But he's done well. He's not in that business no more. But I've talked to him. He would love to spend his money to get back in the weed business, legally. But he can't, and the expungement won't get him either. I know a young lady, same thing. They followed her for months. So every time she sold the pound of weed to somebody, they just added it up. At some point, they got her for like 12 pounds of weed. Again, she's another one. Expungements will not help her at all, the way they're doing it. So I think expungements, to get back to the question, I think expungements should be for all marijuana arrests. I want to say related too, because sometimes they smell something and the next thing you know, they're searching your car and they find something else and this, that, and the other happens, right? But we'll just keep it at marijuana. But I think it should be for all amounts. Whether it's 1 joint or 1,000 pounds, it should all be legal. You can have as many tomatoes as you want, as many peas of corn as you want, and I really think marijuana's in the same class. You shouldn't, so that's where I'm at now. We have to, I think that's where the activists should focus on now. We should focus on the question. If we can focus on the question, we can get the question to cover everybody, then you won't have certain people mad at the law, certain people not mad at the law. Like I was just mad at the law, the bill, and there were activists who suddenly didn't like me anymore. I was like, wait.
So you don't consider yourself an activist?
No, I do consider myself an activist.
I consider you an activist.
I do.
Why would they be mad at you? Because I'm like you. I'm like you. I'm for legalization, right. But the bill is not right, and it really leaves us in the same place once they legalize. Right. As far as social justice and entrepreneurship and all the other everything that you was talking about, it leaves us in the same place.
Yep.
As far as dealing with just dealing with the police alone and how they're at their discretion. Right now, the law is at their discretion when they pull us over for anything else. Mm-hmm. The way it is, it just leaves us, something else for them to be able to pull us over and more reasons for them to take advantage of poor people.
Right. So legalization would help with that, though. If legalization came, police officer couldn't pull you over and go, I smell something, and then want to search your car. Well, he can still ask you if you're smoking and driving, a drunk driving charge or that, right? But the vast majority of the smell, probable cause type things would be eliminated. But if I had 5 pounds of marijuana and was selling it to somebody who had $20,000, I could still go to jail under SB 2703. Right. If I made a phone call to my buddy in California, and I called my buddy in Burlington and said, yeah, it's coming, it's on its way, and if the state police were listening, I could still get a conspiracy charge and still go to prison for conspiracy. And conspiracy is a 10-year sentence, people. I don't know if anybody knows about it. A conspiracy charge is harder to beat than a weed charge or a gun charge or a whole lot. Conspiracy is hard because all you have to do is prove that me and you, 3 people, communicated about a illegal act, and that's conspiracy. Wow. So you can go to jail just for sharing, talking about it. There's plenty of people who get that. I actually had a conspiracy charge that happened to be one of the charges that got dismissed with me, but I knew that was the hardest one to beat because they had me. They had me communicate. I had my communications. There's nothing I can do about that.
Right.
So, but those type of things would still happen under 2703. So you would get these corporate guys under 2703 to get to open their dispensaries and this, that, and the other and sell. The black market types would have to, or would be expected to stop selling marijuana and buy it from them guys. Like, nope, not happening.
That's like extortion.
It's a huge monopoly. It's like wait a minute. And like we all grew up in America, right? Most people here grew up in America. You grew up with this free capitalism thoughts. You think that you hustle, you work hard enough, then you can be there. And the way they're writing the bills, they're taking the guys who already did that somewhere else and they brought it here and they're making this monopoly for them.
Cannabaggers, as you call them.
I call them cannabaggers. And again, it bothers me because I know I could raise money. I could get something going. I know for a fact I could sell weed. I know my rent's getting paid right now because I am selling weed. And I think I got to the point now, like I said, I don't know. I don't know if anybody's read Heather's article. Anybody here read Heather's article the last day or two? All right, well, I pretty much put it out there that get 12. I've been saying that for a long time. I don't think the government can get 12. Man, when I mean that, again, back to jury nullification. They can arrest me any day they want. They can if they raid me right now, I know I got at least 2.5 pounds of weed around. So if they raid me right now, I could go to jail. But at some point, to get me from jail to prison, they have to go before 12 people. They have to get 12 people. And that's where I keep teasing the prosecution. You can't get 12. You can't get 12. And I've proved it a couple times. Burlington County took a 2-piece. They lost both cases against me. Mercer County just took a 2-piece. Camden County declined to arrest me. Declined to indict me. They did arrest me, but they did not indict me. On a charge before because I openly say, advocate jury nullification. I openly say, hey, you can arrest me. You can take the weed you got right here. You can take the money out of me. Maybe you send me to jail. I'll get bail, and I'll start selling weed again. You can't get 12. And I know.
That's kind of confident right there.
Because I know what the public opinion is. And I think I can walk into my mom's church. Well, they know me. But I think I can walk into my mom's church, talk to the choir and say, I got marijuana in my pocket. How many of you think I should go to prison for it? You ain't gonna get 12 of them to say that.
Nah, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
No.
What about, they've taken away the opportunities for us to grow our own and things like that.
In the Garden State.
In the Garden State.
In the Garden State. We're not allowed to grow. In the Garden State. That's ridiculous. And I think that's not my number one argument. But I know, because I listened to a lot of the other activists out there, and I know that's the number one issue for a lot of them. Mm-hmm. Me, myself, I've grown weed before, and trust me, I'd rather buy it from somebody else. Because my growth skills, even though I got the balls to do it, my growth skills just never seem to be perfect. Because, like, I got Charlie Brown Christmas trees, and this guy's got this beautiful, beautiful plant with these giant buds on it, and I got this scraggly Charlie Brown Christmas tree. So I'd rather someone else grow anyway.
What about, I was in D.C., a couple of places, even I heard about a couple of them here in Trenton and stuff like that, pop-ups.
There's pop-ups here. You ain't got to go to D.C.
No, I'm saying I saw something in Trenton. In Trenton.
Oh, there's pop-ups everywhere now. You got listen. Who knows about these pop-ups?
Anybody know about the pop-ups?
All right, social media. I mean, it's out there. If you're on social media and you're looking for weed, you can find it. Whether it's these pop-up markets, that's where it comes from, the word pop-up markets, and you know, the internet has overwhelmed law enforcement a lot. And I know the law enforcement does use the internet sometimes to catch people, but the fact of the matter is, it's overwhelming. You got 9 million people in the state of New Jersey. You got hundreds of thousands of people who smoke marijuana, possess marijuana illegally because it's illegal. And we have social media where we can all communicate with each other. And Instagram especially. You put the right couple hashtags in and start following who's doing what on these hashtags, and you'll find things that are being advertised, and you can find what you want. And, you know, some towns have no idea that there's a pop-up market in their town at night, and there's 200, 300 people in a building this size all buying and selling and trading marijuana and networking with each other. Because you really only have to go to a pop-up once or twice, because when you're at the pop-up, you meet the vendors and the sellers and you get their cards, and then you don't go to the pop-up no more. You just call them. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, meet me at the Edison train station. And whatever. I did that one before. At the Edison train station. No, not an hour ago. They meet me at the Trenton train station. No, actually, I'm at the point now. I'm like, hey, come to my police.
I mean, how does that? You know, everyone knows about your. Well, maybe people don't know about your compound and Trenton and you know what you do. Your restaurant.
Yeah, but technically, I have a restaurant. It's three buildings, side by side. It's a restaurant to the far left. Sell munchie food, by the way. What else? That's what I classify. It's not comfort food. It's not soul food. It's not Italian food. It's munchie food. I should call it just pothead food. But and then in the middle part, it's what I call the sanctuary. And I do have a 501c3R corporation as a religious organization, and it's called, technically on paper, it's called the Liberty Bell Temple, but I call it the sanctuary area, where I've been inviting people to come smoke and chill and hang out. It's a 420 lounge, if you want to call it that. I've said when I first opened, there was about 5,000 medical marijuana patients in New Jersey, and I put a blast out and I put it on my website that all 5,000 medical marijuana people have honorary memberships in my 420 lounge. And I left it at that. And I kept saying, if the police ever bother me, I'm going to say it's a church, and this is what I do. And all the hassles I've had, they have never, not one single hassle is, because the prosecutors all know my arguments, not one single ticket is written under 320 East State Street, because that's my church. Mm-hmm. Under 322, my restaurants, all the tickets come to there. And even when I tried to sue, one of my lawyers even said, hey, the religious argument sounds good and he would like to do it, but guess what? They thwarted that. They never gave me not one single ticket, not one single charge under that address. They always use the restaurant address, because in the restaurant address, I have a business address, I have a business license and all that, and that's what they go after. And the third spot, getting back to that, is now I'm opening up a CBD lounge where I can sell CBD to conceal my THC. I mean, where I can sell CBD. CBD, y'all. Last week, the crazy thing is, last week I went down to Atlantic City where they had that CBD convention, and they were selling pounds, big bags of CBD bud that looked like better than some of the OG I've bought for $2,000 a pound, and they were selling it for $500 a pound. It doesn't get you high, technically, but I'll be selling it there. There's a lot of people who like CBD. Yes. Me, myself, even right now I bought a couple pounds, and I've looked at it every day for the last couple of days, and I still haven't smoked it because I like getting high, and I don't know. When they first came out with CBD, to me, I was in California in 2010, 2008. All of a sudden, I started hearing about the CBD. I was writing at the time, and I even wrote. It was first. I wasn't even thinking about buds. I was thinking about the drops. And don't nobody get offended here, but I was really trying to. I was poking. I was talking crap. I was calling CBD. I don't even know if I should say this. Yes. I didn't know if I should say that here. But that's what I was calling. I was like, man, this is bullshit. This is backyard boogie. If I got some weed and it didn't get me high, I want my money back. Like what? Like that's how I looked at it. But hey, it's expanded. I mean, people are like, well, I don't want to get high. I just want the medical effects. Okay, that's taken off. It's taken off. Like, what can I say? It's
You
taken
see them
off.
selling it everywhere in clothing stores.
I pulled into gas stations and be looking like Octane and CBD. You'd be like, what? They're selling CBD in the gas station. Like they are. They really are. There's gas stations that have CBD. You go up to the counter to buy. Is CBD here? You're selling CBD here? Oh, that's what I'm talking about, man.
Coffee house, come get it.
Now what you got under the counter? I want the under the counter THC. I'm kidding. I don't know. I have no idea what he's got under the counter.
It's the perfect venue right here, man. You can envision a coffee house with smoke coming out of it. I mean, I could envision it.
No, listen. This would be this. Yeah, there you go, man.
There you go.
Listen, I already see all these musicians on the side. You got munchy food. Now you're selling THC. Come on. I said I would have to walk down the street to look for a Weedman. I might be looking at one right now. I don't know. I'm telling you, man, there's Weedmen everywhere. CBD Weedmans now.
So this has been, again, with the show, we're trying to just touch bases on the legislation, and being that it's now it's done faded to the back, and we're probably going to go to a vote, and we need to know who is writing the legislation and what they expect to get out of it, and what are they going to, when they put a question out there, does a bill go with the question?
I'm not a politician.
Because I don't know. I'm just,
but I vote,
as we're talking.
But I vote and I read, and I remember different questions that get put. It's kind of rare in New Jersey, really. I mean, not rare, but there's questions on the ballot, but usually you don't even care about them. At least I haven't. I can remember the one question about the open space a few years back, and that was a big fight. Bail reform a few years back, a big fight. I became a victim of the Bail Reform Act, that question. But a lot of people don't pay attention to the question. I wish there was in New Jersey was what they call an initiative state. I wish that the citizens can put questions on the ballot and vote. But in New Jersey, it's like this. A question has to be approved by, I want to say 2/3, but it might be 3/4 of the state assembly, or the governor can put a question on. The governor has the power to write his own question and put it on.
So we have to present the question to the Congress the body, legislators,
the
and then
who are already getting bribed.
Or already agree whether or not to
Yes.
put it on there.
Yeah. So the way I was looking at it, again, a person that doesn't have a lot of money and not a lot of political influence, is that we should present the narrative. The activists should put the narrative out there that these are the questions that must be on this. These are the things that must be on this question. I mean, they can just make it one simple line question: legalization or not.
Right. But that's what
and then they pass it. And then the legislators, then they write the law to fix it, and then we're right back in the same position we are with 2703. I think the question should be a paragraph. It shouldn't just be a question. It should be a paragraph, and it should detail several things, yes or no. Maybe they should put several questions up there. Maybe a wide open question, something like somebody like me would vote for, and maybe a super restrictive question, and see what the politicians see how it works out.
Well, I want to continue so that we get a chance to continue doing this, like we did the one in Pleasantville. We get a chance to do that, and that could be part of our next next event that we're doing, is that we come up with some of these questions of how we think that push them. This is what we want to see. You know what I mean? And just an idea, because you never know who's listening, who's out there, and they might take heed to some of your points, because you know what I mean, you already have their attention, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So now maybe they take on some of your ideas of how to present it, how we would receive it better. A lot of times it's not being, the people in the room are not catering to us, but we're right now pushing them to cater to us in the way that we want to be catered to.
Yeah. I keep saying I refuse to be like quiet. Like, no, wait, but first of all, hold it. Think about this. Everybody here knows this. Everybody. The government has called it a war for as long as we've been alive, right? It's a war on drugs. Now, think about this. In all wars, who divvies up the spoils of war at the end of the war? The winners do. The government has lost this war on weed, man. They lost. Their goal in the 1970s or 1930s or whatever you want to say it started, well, I'm going to say 1970 when Nixon declared it, right? They declared a war, and their objective and their goal was to eradicate this drug and all this and all that type of stuff. And the Reagans came in, just say no to this, no to that. Well, guess what? The people said yes. The government has lost this war on drugs. And guess what? We want marijuana. And we don't want the government to divvy it up. The government's not supposed, like, if the government lost, then they shouldn't be divvying up the spoils of war. We should be. We should be deciding and dictating certain things. And that's what irritates me about it. Wait a minute. Scutari is a prosecutor. He's been a prosecutor for 30 years. He's put plenty of people in jail, ruined plenty of people's lives, and now he's writing the law like he won. He lost. Why is he writing the law? And I always call him a loser, and I email him too. And like, these are little irritating things, and I know they all pay attention to me. They really do. They try not to say something, but listen, you know how you're on Facebook and you type in somebody's name, it pops up as a friend, linked. Senator Scutari is always there. He's been there. He has never blocked me. All the crap I talk about him, he wants to see what I say. I tag him in some stuff, and they want to see. And so I do think that I've gotten to the point that I do have a lot more attention. I think I have $1 million PR campaign, and I have no money. But I can get the NJ.com to write about me whenever I feel like it. The Trentonian does it. Asbury Park Press. All I gotta do is really kind of, hey, guess what? And I already picked out all the pothead reporters, so that was a long time ago. Half of them were reporters 20 years ago, and now they're the editors. So I know all the editors now. It's like I could easily, hey, guess what? I could do tips. I could tell them stories and say, just don't talk about me, but here, check this out. And next thing you know, they're running with a story. 3 days later, I see the story, and I know I started that story. But whatever, and they all like me, too.
See, and that's what I'm saying. That influence right there could be a lot. With a lot of these folks in the room, we can put some things together, come up with some ideas, and maybe to present them in our next forums and things like that.
The question. We should be working on the question. That's what's coming up. That's what I think. I don't know. But I think we should be putting that narrative out there of what should be on the question. Who knows? I don't want Senator Scutari to write the question because he's already been bribed. He's writing the question so that the corporate guys can get it. And I don't want the corporate guys to get it. I want the little weed men and weed women to get it. We should all be a part of this, especially those who became the victims, who went to prison, went to jail. Like I said, I've been to prison once, and I've been locked up a couple times for weed or talking about it.
Well, we'd like to thank you. This is the New Jersey Weedman, Ed Forchion. Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you for listening to this Community Cannabis Forum on New Jersey Revolution Radio. You can learn more about Community Cannabis Forums by going to www.njrevolutionradio.com, or you can host a community forum of your own. Contact us, info@njrevolutionradio.com, or message our Facebook page to learn how.